it's alenajingle. I know I haven't made a video, especially a name video, in 100 million years, but it is so beautiful outside, and I really wanted an opportunity to get out here while the kids were napping, because I was afraid by the time they got up that it would be too late and it wouldn't be so warm and sunny. And I love summer, and we've had so much rain this summer, so this has been one of the few days I can remember that it just feels like summer outside. And I was like, I don't have any yard work to do, I need an excuse to be outside, and I was like, oh my goodness, let me take the time that I have to film, because I don't actually have any time. So I've been wanting to do this video series for 100.5 years, and I started it last year, and I made the first video and never even edited it. So I had to start over again, because what I want to do is alternatives to the top 100 names in the US. So I know many people are probably like, what do you mean alternatives? Why would I need alternatives? This video and the names in it would be for people that love names that are in the top 100 but do not want to use popular names. And this video would also be for people that maybe would like to honor a loved one that has a name that's in the top 100, but maybe use something that's not quite so popular again. And there are tons of names that are in the top 100 in the US that are really great names, so it doesn't mean you can't use them. This is just some ideas just to get your brain going. And anyway, so I'm going to go ahead and get started with number 100 for boys. In the year 2014, it was Camden, which is an English name that means enclosed valley. I actually know a really sweet boy who is, I think, about 10 in Camden. He's the oldest of 5 children. And his parents are really into baseball, and they named him after the Camden Yard Memorial Ballpark. And all of his siblings have baseball-related names as well. I think they're all stadium names. So Camden is a name that's associated with Seventh Heaven. That's the last name of the Precious family from that show. Camden was not even in the top 1,000 until 1990, and it's just steadily risen since then. It actually did drop one spot since 2013. But I do think it'll either stay in the same area or continue to rise. It just fits in so well with today's trends. So I think Camden is a really, really great name. It's one of the names that I can totally understand why it's getting popular, and I think it's great if it continues to rise. So my first alternative I have to Camden is Calvin. And Calvin is an English form of a French name that means bald. So not the greatest meaning, but it's not a terrible meaning either. I'm sure everyone has someone in their life they love that's a bald-headed person. So I actually know a little boy named Calvin as well. He's actually friends with a boy named Camden that I mentioned earlier. And Calvin's about the same age. I think Calvin is a really sweet name, and Cal is a really sweet nickname. The Calvin that I know is the oldest of 4 siblings, and his siblings are named Isaac, Phoebe, and Owen. So I think those go super well together. Calvin Coolidge was, of course, the 29th president of the U.S., so it's a presidential name, which those are very in right now, a la Madison, Kennedy, etc., Lincoln. This is also really associated with Calvin and Hobbes, the comic strip. Calvin was ranked at 182 in 2014, and I think that Calvin would make a good alternative to Camden for its similar sound. They totally have a similar feel to me. They're just both great names. My next alternative to Camden I have is Canyon. So Canyon is, of course, an English word name that means a deep valley with steep hills on the side. And, of course, people associate this with the Grand Canyon in the U.S. I actually have had the opportunity to go visit the Grand Canyon. It was about 10 years ago. Unfortunately, I was really sick, but it was still just breathtaking. Almost hard to believe that it's real. It's just incredible. Canyon is a nature name, which, of course, nature names are very in right now. And Canyon just has a really similar sound to Camden. I think it would make a really great name. And my last alternative I have to Camden is Ramsden, which is an English surname that means deep valley. There was a mathematician named Jesse Ramsden, and he invented lots and lots of different scientific and mathematical tools and instruments and stuff that we use today. So this would be a really cool name for somebody who's a scientist or mathematician or into math or science. Ramsden, of course, just has a really similar sound to Camden, but is so much less popular. It's never been in the top 1,000 in the U.S. before. Okay, on to number 99. In the year 2014, the name Luis was number 99 in the U.S., which is the Spanish form of Ludwig or Louis or Ludovic, and that means famous battle. Very cool meaning. I don't think people outside of the U.S. realize how enormous of a Hispanic population there is in the U.S. And it's growing fastly, but it's been around for a long time. So there are several names in the top 100 in the U.S. That are Hispanic names. So my alternatives I'm coming up with, I would like to try to gear them towards the Spanish community. So before I mention alternatives, I just want to mention a little bit about the name Luis. There are tons and tons and tons of athletes with this name, and there is the veteran actor Luis Guzman. He's one of those actors where it's like you know his face and you see him a lot, but you don't realize his name. He's a great association with this name. So my first alternative I have for Luis is Louis, which is the French form of Ludovic or Ludwig, which means famous battle. This can also be pronounced Louis. However, somebody who loves Luis might prefer the Louis pronunciation since it's more similar. This name is all over the news right now because of singer Louis Tomlinson, who is from the band One Direction. He and his girlfriend have recently announced that they're expecting, and it'll be really interesting to see if they use his name or not. We'll have to see. And this has, of course, a similar sound to Luis, a shared meaning in origin. It can honor Luis. It's a really great name. Louis or Louis was ranked at 298 in 2014, and it has always been in the top 1,000 names in the US. My next alternative I have for Luis is Lucio. Gorgeous name. So Lucio is the Spanish or Italian form of Lucius, which means light. Really great meaning. This can, of course, also be pronounced Lucio. However, Spanish speakers would more likely go with the Lucio pronunciation. There is a Brazilian soccer player in the news right now at times who goes by just Lucio, just that name, no last name. That's where you might hear it out and about. And of course, this just has a really similar sound to Luis, and I think it would be a great alternative to Luis. My last alternative I have to name Luis is Joaquin. Joaquin is the Spanish form of Joachim or Joachim. It's pronounced differently in different areas, and it's a name that means established by God. Of course, most people associate the name Joaquin with actor Joaquin Phoenix. I really enjoy that actor. This was ranked at 326 in 2014, and it's actually been in the top 1,000 names in the US since 1908. So interesting, because I've never seen the name Joaquin on anyone besides the actor, but it's always been used in the US. That's just insane to me. Joaquin, I think, would make a good Luis alternative because they're both the two-syllable names with a stress on the second syllable. Luis, Joaquin, and they both have that strong E sound in it. Just beloved Spanish names. Okay, on to number 98. Number 98 in the US was another Spanish name, and that is Juan, which is the Spanish form of John, which means God's grace. Really great meaning. So Juan has been in the top 100 names since 1970 in the US, and it's been in the top 500 names since they started keeping track of names in the US. So it's actually always been a popular name in the US, which is just stunning to me. Juan is associated with San Juan, Puerto Rico, and there is an actor named Juan Pablo de Pace who was in Mamma Mia, and he recently played Jesus Christ in the show, A.D. The Bible Continues. So it's a TV series based off of the life of Jesus, I believe. My first alternative to Juan is Luan, which is an Albanian name that means lion. Really cool meaning. Luan is a type of wood, and I think it would be a good Juan alternative since they're only one letter different. There is actually also an Albanian soccer player named Luan Pinari who has been in the news too with all this World Cup stuff. I don't keep track of sports, but I do like to look at the names sometimes because there's so many gorgeous names that are used on these international soccer players. My next alternative to Juan is actually just Juanito, which is the Spanish diminutive of Juan. So it also means God's grace, and it could also just mean little John or little Juan. Juanito is also the name of a Spanish player, soccer player, and he goes by just Juanito. No last name, just like Lucio, like I mentioned earlier. Juan could be a nickname for Juanito, and it could honor Juan as well. My last alternative I have for Juan is Ewan, which is this Welsh form of John, which means God's grace again. This name can also be pronounced Ion, which I think is closer to how they would pronounce it in Wales. I think Ewan is a little more accessible for Americans and his Hispanic community. This has a similar look and sound, of course, to Juan as well. It could honor a Juan, and there's actually an actor named Ewan Reese. My guess is he might pronounce it Ion because he's a Welsh actor. So that's where you might have seen the name before. Okay, on to number 97, and in 2014, the number 97 name was Leo or Leo, which is, of course, the Latin word for lion. This name is associated with Leonardo DiCaprio, who is sometimes just called Leo DiCaprio. And there are many, many popes and emperors and kings throughout history with this name, so it's a very strong regal name. And this is also associated with author Leo Tolstoy. So my first alternative to Leo is obviously Leonardo, which is the Italian form of Leonard, which means brave lion. Really great name. This name is, like I mentioned earlier, associated with actor Leonardo DiCaprio. He's been in so many movies that you're almost guaranteed to have a movie of his that you love, basically. I think just about everybody on the planet associates the name Leonardo with Leonardo da Vinci, and he was just a really incredible artist. Leonardo was ranked all the way up at 114 in 2014, so it is rising, but it's not too popular yet by most people's standards. And this has been in the top 1,000 names since 1905, so it's a name that's been around for a long time. Leo can be a nickname for Leonardo, of course, so this would be a perfect alternative. My next alternative to Leo is Ari, which is a Hebrew name that means lion as well. So Ari Millen is a young Canadian actor. This name was ranked at 441 in 2014, and it's been in the top 1,000 since 1969, so it's familiar but never popular. I think that Ari would be a great Leo alternative because they share the same lion meaning, which I think is really cool, and they're both 3 letters long, really easy to spell and pronounce and remember. Great name. My last alternative for Leo is Rio, which is of course the Spanish word for river. I think a lot of people associate this with the Rio Grande River, which is very beautiful and amazing. And recently there have been a couple of movies produced called Rio, which star a bird with that name, and I actually really love those movies. That would be a kind of little built-in bedroom theme maybe for a little boy named Rio. I've actually seen this name used on a girl too, but I think it makes a lot more sense for a boy. It just sounds really strong to me. I think this makes a perfect Leo alternative because, of course, it sounds really similar to Leo, and they're also both just 3 letters and really accessible and easy. Okay, on to my last name for this video, and at 96 in 2014, the name was Justin, which is an English form of justice, which means just or righteous, of course. I can't believe this name is so popular still. It's hard for me to be biased on this name because I've met so many Justins, and it just feels really dated to me. And dated, in my opinion, is not the same as old-fashioned. Dated, to me, is like a mom or a dad name. I think most of the Justins out there are becoming parents now. I think the name Justin is still so popular because there are a ton of pop references and media references like Justin Bieber, Justin Timberlake, Justin Moore. I mean, I could go on forever. And I also think that because there are a lot of Justins becoming parents, there are probably Justin Juniors out there as well. These alternatives I have would be really great to honor a Justin as well, all 3 of them. So my first alternative I have is justice with this spelling. And it is the Latin word that means just or righteous, of course. There are 3 different men in the Bible named Justice. This name in some European countries is pronounced Eustace, so there's always that fun alternative as well if you like that pronunciation. This name is ranked at 849 in 2014 in the top 1,000, and it just re-entered the top 1,000 in 1994. It was on a 90-year hiatus because it had been in the top 1,000 in the very, very early 1900s. I think this is a really, really cool, strong name and a perfect Justin alternative. My next alternative for Justin is Iestyn, which is the Welsh form of Justin, which of course means just or righteous. I think this name is so cool. It has such a unique look to it. I just love the sound. It's just like spunky and, I don't know, crisp. I just love the sound of this so much. There's actually a British opera singer right now named Iestyn Davies. I just think it is a gorgeous name. And of course it has a similar sound to Justin, same meaning and origin, perfect way to honor Justin. Great name. And my last alternative to Justin is justice with this spelling, which is of course an English word that means righteousness or lawfulness. This can also be an occupational name. The name is associated right now with Victoria Justice, that beautiful actress and singer, and so I think because of that, it's also being used on girls, though it's more popular for boys. This was ranked at 531 in 2014 for boys, and of course it has a similar sound to Justin and a shared meaning. Once again, all 3 of these alternatives would be great to honor Justin as well. Alright, so these are my alternatives for the bottom 5 of the top 100 boy names. Hopefully I can keep this series going, but you know, if I keep putting out videos at the rate that I have been, I won't put up the next video for another 1.5 years. And by then I'll have to redo my alternatives because we'll have a new top 100 names in the US. So hopefully, I don't know, my life is starting to slow down just a teeny bit maybe. Knock on wood. But maybe I can get another video out soon, and I hope you like it. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!